Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sutra-42 Pinda Mantra Japa. Pinda Mantrasya Sarvasya Sthula Varna Kramena Tu Ardendu Bindunadantaha Shunyorcharad Bhavet Shivaha. The Pinda Mantras are the divine sounds available for the sadhaka to transcend from gross to the subtle. The mantras themselves are arranged as letters in the gross form. By constant recitation, the sadhaka moves in stages from sound to soundless and realizes the silence as one's own nature. The sutra is pointing us to Pinda Mantra Japa. Japa is a continuous recital of a mantra. The Tantra Shastram and Agamas discuss the nature of Pinda Mantra in their own way. Essentially, they convey the same message. A mantra is divided into 4 parts as stated in the Pancharatra. The 4 parts of a mantra are Bija, Pinda, Pada and Samnya. Each of the 4 parts can be chanted independently. A mantra can also be a combination of all the 4. The bija is typically 1 or 2 syllables. Generally, pranava or om is a bija mantra for the other mantras. For example, we say Om Namah Shivaya as a mantra. It begins with the bija Om. There are many bijas available based on the nature of a mantra. The bija is the first part of a mantra. The Pinda Mantra follows the bija. The syllables that appear after the bija to form the other part of the mantra is known as Pinda Mantra. The Pinda Mantra is directed towards a particular devata. The Pinda Mantra is the second part. The Samnya, which is the 4th part, addresses the name of the devata. Samnya means a sound by which the devata is called. This is Chetana Shakti or Jnana Shakti. The 3rd part of the mantra is Pada. This is typically gestures associated with that devata. In Nyasa mantras, a particular region of the body is touched to recognize the devata. Pada also indicates region. The Pancharatra says it is not compulsory that a mantra should have all the 4 parts. For example, only a bija can be chanted. Chanting the 4 together is effective for upasana or meditation. In upasana, the mind of the sadhaka dwells on a particular devata. The mantras typically end with a namaha, swaha, hum, phat, vaushat based on the purpose. The mantras have 3 aspects, which are sthulam, sukshmam and para. The gross aspect is sthulam, the subtle aspect is sukshmam and the transcendental aspect is para. For example, the pranava has all the 3 aspects. The sadhaka uses a mantra to move from the gross to the subtle and to the transcendental as progress is made in the spiritual journey. This sutra begins with Pinda Mantrasya Sarvasya. The Pinda Mantra is directed towards a particular devata. A sadhaka who wants to get initiated into a mantra japa must approach a guru. The guru provides the mantra diksha to the sadhaka based on the nature of the sadhaka. A sadhaka lives in a particular place based on which he or she experiences life. Some places may be conducive for spiritual growth and some may not be. There can be hurdles in spiritual growth. The guru assesses these aspects and gives a Pinda Mantra to the sadhaka. The mantra can help the sadhaka to overcome hurdles and progress spiritually. The goal of the Guru is not only about clearing the obstacles for the sadhaka, but also to move the sadhaka towards the transcendental reality using the mantra. Once a pinda mantra is given, it is recommended that the sadhaka keeps an idol of a devata for worship and meditation. This is very much required for a sadhaka whose mind is not yet ready to dwell on the subtle aspects. In the beginning stages, a sadhaka is strongly identified with his or her body. Body is the gross form. The mind is more comfortable with the gross. Hence, it is best to start with an external idol which is in a gross form. The sadhaka over time will move towards the subtle or sukshmam and then towards the para, the transcendental reality. In this sutra, we will not discuss about any pinda mantra. As I said, pinda mantra must be given by a guru as a diksha. However, we will utilize Omkara since many are familiar with Omkara. We discussed about Omkara in the previous sutras as Shabda Rupam and Pratikam Alambanam. Pinda mantrasya sarvasya sthula varna kramena tu ardhendu bindu nadantaha shunyocharad bhavet chivaha. The pinda mantras or the divine sounds available for the sadhaka to transcend from gross to the subtle. The mantras themselves are arranged as letters in the gross form. By constant recitation, the sadhaka moves in stages from sound to soundless and realizes the silence as one's own nature. Pinda mantrasya sarvasya sthula varna kramena tu. The pinda mantras are arranged in a gross form in a particular order, sthula varna kramena. When the sadhaka dwells on the mantra from gross to the subtle, the mind expands. This is the increased state of awareness. Om can be chanted this way. First, bring your attention to the Manipuraka chakra and start chanting. As you chant, slowly move your attention to Anahata and then Vishuddhi. At the time you reach or Makara Shabda in Om, let your attention be on the Vishuddhi chakra. From Vishuddhi, it moves towards silence. When it touches silence, visualize that the chant has reached the Agnya chakra. From Agnya chakra, visualize that the subtle silence is slowly passing through the higher centers and finally fading away into the space. Between the Agnya and Sahasrara, there are 7 subtle centers. If we include the Agnya and Sahasrara, there are 9 subtle centers. The 9 centers from Agnya are Agnya, Ardhachandra, Nirodhika, Nada, Nadanta, Shakti, Vyapika, Sanmani and Unmani. Unmani is above the head. You may visualize the centers one above the other. The sounds as you chant Om slowly fade away as they cross the Agnya chakra and finally dissolves into the Unmani. Remember, while chanting Om, the silence part of the 4th quarter begins from the Agnya chakra. You may listen to Sutra 3 again to understand the subtle centers above the Agnya chakra. The Pinda mantra must be chanted this way as per the Sutra. We have taken Omkara here in the place of Pinda mantra. This is because many are familiar with Omkara. This is just another way to do Omkara Upasana. Also, the Pinda mantra is given by a guru during mantra diksha to a sadhaka based on the nature of the sadhaka. In the sutra, Ardhendu, Bindu, Nadanta, Shunya refer to the higher centers. By constant repetition, Ucharad, the sadhaka moves in stages from sound to soundless and realizes the silence as one's own nature as Shiva. Chivaha bhavet. Mantra japa is a great sadhana. The sadhaka should have a firm resolve in the mind about why he or she is chanting a mantra. The goal can be to realize the nature of Shiva. However, it is difficult to say if everyone wants liberation. It depends on the person, isn't it? There are people who do mantra japa for the sake of wealth, good health, maybe to get over problems in life, and so on. The motivation can vary. What is important is that the mind should have a firm resolve about why the mantra is chanted. It is important that the resolve as a thought should be aligned with the mantra. The mantra has a relationship with the divinity. The relationship with the divinity is connected to the thought in the mind as the mantra is chanted. The thought itself arises from the being inside the person. The inside is the being. The mantra connected with the thought relates to the being. The being, the thought, and the mantra are connected. The thought that is completely directed towards the mantra is more powerful than the sound of the mantra. The mantra is powered by this directed thought. When the mantra is chanted this way, it gives siddhi to the person. Mananath trayate iti mantram. From the time we are born, the mind is active. The mind is constantly moving. It is in a state of vikalpa. Mantra has the power to stop the movement of the mind. A mantra may not have any meaning. A mantra has a thinking part and a sound part. The thinking part is attached to the thought of a sadhaka. One who thinks about the mantra is protected from vikalpa of the mind. The mantra can stop the movement of the mind. Mananat trayate iti mantram. A sadhaka, by repeatedly chanting a mantra, induces balam into the mantra. The balam is sadhaka's own kundalini shakti. This is the balam of the thought that arises from the being and connects to the mantra. Hence, for mantra siddhi, constant repetition or avriti is important. More the avriti, the balam of the mantra will increase. It is recommended by our gurus to do 1 crore mantra japam over a period of time if the mantra sadhana is taken up by a sadhaka. This sutra is both for Anava Upaya and Shaktopaya. Shiva